We're live. Hey everybody, I'm Bugman J. It's your boy Matt, and we're here from Jocks of All Trades doing Armchair GMs tonight. Um, I'm happy to be here. I'm ready, amped up for football again. How about you, Matt?
Oh, I'm excited about it. Like, I can't wait. Fantasy is right around the corner, getting ready for
Yes.
draft season, so on and so forth. And hopefully we can help you guys out.
Yeah, that's our goal here today. We're gonna work on top 12 QBs and top 12 running backs, and we also have a few sleepers and maybe some guys who have a little bit too much hype for where they are in their career. And we're going to get all into that today. But first and foremost, we have to get into what keeps this podcast lights on, our ads. We're going to start here with Fresh Cuts. Fresh Cuts is a local barber shop in Marion, Indiana. Caleb Kemper runs it, and info to contact him is on the second slide. And here we go. Fresh Cuts is not just a haircut, it's an experience. If you're in that area, go down there and see my buddy, and he'll get you taken care of. All right, on to Steve Wood Illustrations. Here for all your nerdy art needs from Star Wars to G.I. Joe and beyond. See him for all your nerds in your life who you just aren't sure what to get them. You know, there's some people, man. I have some nerd buddies. I'm a nerd too, and it's hard to buy things for me because the things that everybody else wants, I don't want. But some action figures, I might want that if they're vintage. So you guys go down there and see them, and you'll get everything that you need. All right, and on to our friends from Afro Latinos are changing things up. Check out the Culture Corner podcast featuring our friend Abin and Shaylin, and hear from them soon because they're still under construction, moving a couple things around. But stay tuned. We will let you know when they are up and running again. All right, on to our next. Rules of the Frame is another friend cast specializing in movie reviews of pretty much anything there is. Connor will soon be a guest on our other show, Smash Popcorn, and we look forward to collabing with him pretty soon. All right. Last but certainly not least, Thousand Wives of Weird is just that, weird. From reviews of weird movies to criticizing bad movie choices, Brad H. and Billy Martell will keep you entertained and laughing for hours on end. Check them out exclusively on Spotify, guys. And those are our ads for the day. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing just fine, man. Just enduring the Midwest heat.
Oh, yeah.
Just doing yard work and stuff like that. How about yourself?
Oh, man, I'm enjoying this great subtropical rainy weather down here in South Georgia, man. We've gotten we've probably gotten 2 inches of rain, man. We got flash flood warnings down here, but I'm good. I'm inside. Lights are still working. Nothing's going bad my way, so I'm all good.
Knock on wood.
Knock on wood. That is right. Because things could change very quickly, as we have seen before.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Man. It's just maybe I've had internet now for maybe 2 days because I was out of internet for the entire weekend. I don't even want to get into that, but yeah, that's pretty rough. But okay, where do you want to kind of start things out? You got any opening statements before we get into it?
Just that, with this show, we're hoping that we can help whoever does fantasy football, follows fantasy football, so on and so forth. Maybe we can help you guys out with some of our personal thoughts, some of our personal beliefs behind it, where we think players are going to fall within the rankings, so on and so forth, and kind of help you guys with making hopefully good draft choices for this upcoming fantasy season. So hopefully you guys hopefully you guys enjoyed the show, and I think we'll get started on quarterbacks, and then we'll touch on running backs, and I think next week we will touch on wide receivers and tight ends.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna take a whole episode just to break down defenses and special teams. I kind of want to not devalue them as much. I don't want to put them. Oh, we may add the kickers in with them. Just throw them in.
I was gonna say, let's get those kickers in there. Rodrigo, Blankenship, all the way.
All the way. I'm hoping that some of the advice we can give our audience will help them win a championship and some bragging rights. So let's jump right into it. All right, top 12 quarterbacks. I believe this is my list because What do you?
Yeah, that is your list, and I'm kind of basing my list, which I have on my screen here, and it actually falls in comparison with yours. I actually have a separate spreadsheet open for that, so hold on a second. Let me look. Yeah, that's like literally matches what you have as well. And Josh Allen, I think he'll be top QB for this year, strictly because the past 2 seasons he's just played lights out with his ability to find open receivers, his ability to tuck it and run, so on and so forth, go for the first down or even a touchdown in some cases.
Definitely.
What are your thoughts on Josh Allen?
I really believe in my heart that he is, if not the best, one of the best quarterbacks in our league right now. And he hasn't even had to go through any adjustments yet. So he hasn't had to change his game like Patrick Mahomes had to change his game when the too high safety thing started being an issue for him passing deep. And I really feel like the weapons that they have in Buffalo, Stephon Diggs, Gabriel Davis, Knox being that guy in the red zone, and then you have James Cook, and you also have Singletary, who is decent in helping out and pass catching. I really feel like they can have a consistent offense and something that can boost Josh Allen's stats, and also his running ability just gives him that edge. That's just something you just can't take away from him, is his ability to make plays with his feet, to use his feet and to be able to just do things that seems like normal quarterbacks just can't do.
Right. Now with Patrick Mahomes, I had a difficult time believing he would be number 2 in the league this year, just because you lost a huge target with Tyreek Hill, but still has Travis Kelce. You pick up Juju Smith. Obviously, Juju is not Tyreek, but I still think Patrick Mahomes will still have a decent year. I just don't think he'll. I don't think stat-wise he'll be where he was, especially 2 years ago. So, but I still think he'll be at least top 3, maybe 4 in the league, as far as points for fantasy this year.
And I put in 4 point per touchdown passing leagues, I have him at number 4. But in 6, I have him, as I have him right here, at number 2, because I just believe in his ability. I think he may be wide receiver proof. Yes, Tyreek Hill took up a large target share, and a lot of his effectiveness was there, but he also had a 7-game, if you want to Adam Azer stat it, he had 7 games without Tyreek, where either Tyreek wasn't in the game or left the game early, and he averaged just over 27 points per game. fantasy wise. So it's not as if he can't do it without him. And I'm just really kind of banking on Juju having a resurgence in his career, having
I
to
hope.
play having to play with dead arm Ben Roethlisberger for the last 2 seasons did not help his draft stock or any of those wide receivers outside of I believe Claypool. But I just really feel like he may have a resurgence and he may become a safety blanket. You know,
Yeah, I hope so.
you got to also contribute. They have Scott Moore, who is quote unquote a contested catcher, pass catcher, but you know he could have value in this offense as well. So
I
that's
was
my
gonna
belief in why
say.
he's number two.
I was gonna say, you know, with not having the deep threat like Tyreek Hill, it may help Mahomes even more, just because he may look for, you know, receivers that are running across the middle and just a slant routes or your five and out, your 10 and in, so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it could help out Patrick Mahomes a lot more this year with not having that deep threat like Tyreek Hill. Because I mean, with Tyreek Hill, I mean, it's literally 50-50 balls. More often than not, yeah, I mean, Tyreek Hill came down with it, but
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there are times where he couldn't. So I mean, with not having the deep threat, it could help Mahomes out a little bit more than in years past. So,
Yeah.
but let's go on to Lamar Jackson. Or no, I'm sorry. Let's go on to Justin Herbert here.
Okay.
Let's see. Want to get your input on him this year?
Um, I really feel as if he's also one of those quarterbacks who hasn't had to go through any uh, adjustments, as in his style of play, and I really feel like he has the Twin Towers at wide receiver, one of the two best wide receiver combos. If they can find consistency, I don't think there's any questions. Keenan Allen is the guy.
Oh yeah,
As long as he's
100%.
healthy, he might be going over the hump of 30, but I still feel like he has a lot left in the tank, and he's shown that he can be somewhat healthy and consistent for their team. Mike Williams, he's got to prove it. He's got to really prove he can be consistent because he's shown his upside. And once you've seen the potential that you can reach against competent defense, and then against lesser defenses, you don't show up, or as soon as Keenan Allen comes back, you fall into the background. You can't be that if you want to be a true number two. So if he can reach his potential and at least be, I say, a top 30 wide receiver, he can be a good consistent wide receiver too, and could definitely bump up Justin Herbert's stats. And he's also has a little bit of movement with his feet as well to extend the pocket and make plays with his feet as well, which a lot of everyone in my top five has that ability. And that's why they're in the top five, because they have that extended ability to make something out of nothing, where a lot of these guys further on down the list, outside of maybe Jalen Hurts, Dak Prescott, and Russell Wilson, can actually move out of the pocket and make something happen with their feet. But they're not as consistent, or they don't do it as much. But I believe in Justin Herbert's ability. I was kind of contemplating flipping him with Lamar Jackson, but there's just too many missing pieces there. Yes, he's going to run the ball a lot. Yes, he's going to give opportunities to guys who show that they want it, but will it turn out to be anything? I don't know. This 2019 season was the staple year. I'm sorry, I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself.
No, you're good, man. You're good. Go for it.
But yeah, I wanted to flip, but it was just too many things that I'll get into a little bit later that just caused me just to take a step back and really look at Justin Herbert's immediate upside. And I just went for that because he also has Austin Eckler out of the backfield, who catches a lot of balls. So he's got a potential to really have a great year ADP wise. I could even flirt with him possibly being number one if things go right.
That's a bold statement, but I agree wholeheartedly, especially with your adding Austin Eckler to that argument there. But now with like me personally, I think Justin Herbert, he will have a better year than what Lamar Jackson will. Granted, Lamar Jackson, he's playing for a long-term contract. I don't know why Baltimore is dragging their feet on that.
Writing on the walls.
Yeah.
That's all I can say.
Yeah, that's what it seems like from where, like say you or I are, sitting right now. But I mean, Lamar Jackson, he's definitely a proven quarterback in this league.
Yes.
He's a generational talent for sure. Um, I hate that he doesn't have like more weapons because I mean, outside of Mark Andrews, I mean they dealt away Hollywood Brown, and I think that hurts Lamar Jackson a lot. I mean, I do. I mean, you're really just not helping his cause any by staying in the pocket. He's going to be scrambling around all the time, looking for target or taking it or tucking it and run.
Yeah.
So it's a tough situation in Baltimore for Lamar Jackson, and again, I don't know why they're dragging their feet on signing that having him sign a long-term deal.
It's just weird. It's just weird. It just seems like the difference between him and Aaron Rodgers is the fact that Lamar Jackson can run.
Yeah, absolutely.
It just seems like a mirrored situation right now. And for an organization that up until this point was very adamant about taking care of their players, the ones that have brought them through the hump. I'm goofing on his name. He plays with the Jets now. They stood by him until the wheels fell off at quarterback, and then it just seems as if now they're hesitant to commit to Lamar Jackson. I don't get it.
Yeah.
No, Joe Flacco. I don't know why.
Yeah. Well, Joe Flacco. That's a discussion for another time. I'm just going to say that defense helped him out a lot.
Yes. We can agree on that. Okay.
So Kyler Murray at number 5. That's where I have him at. Also in my on my list. The fact that he can scramble around. He's got Hollywood Brown there. We don't know. Or wait, yeah, we do. How long is DeAndre Hopkins suspended for?
I believe the first 6 games. He may have appealed.
Okay. And then you still have James Conner, which, in my opinion, was the biggest surprise out of last year's fantasy year. Yeah, I think Kyler Murray is going to have another big year. Let's just hope that maybe they make it a little further in the playoffs for sure. But yeah, Kyler Murray, I think he's going to do great this year with all the offensive weapons he has around him.
I do concur. I feel like, and he has a lot more to play for. And I feel like even with the whole debacle of taking the Cardinals off of his social media, his feelings about his contract situation, he's continuing to play through it. And I believe that even without DeAndre Hopkins, they are gushing with opportunities to move the football. And the only hang-up for me is still Kyler Murray's ability to find the open receiver. His just the instinctual mistakes, that the things that only happen when you get rattled or you lose a little bit of your stride or you get frustrated, and I don't want those frustration plays to turn into bad plays. And he's moved a little bit away from it as the season went along, but it's just a lot of bonehead plays from him. You can't blame everything on the quarterback, but sometimes I feel like the success of the team falls upon how well the quarterback manages the game. And if he takes that next level, I could see him up in the number 3, number 2 range if he can click with the unit that he has. That's the biggest thing. Keeping that rhythm, using your weapons, evaluating the field, doing the homework, I can sit here and tell you a million things that he should do, but the only thing that matters is what he does. What he takes in, what can he add to his game. He's another one of those guys who has had to adjust a little bit quicker because he is a mobile quarterback. So defenses or defensive coordinators are more adept to try to contain them. So he's got to learn a little bit more. He's got to progress. And if he continues to progress, the sky is the limit, in my opinion, because his running ability just takes what he does passing the ball, just kicks it up a notch. 4-point passing leads. He'll struggle a little bit. He'll fall down in my rankings a little, but I think he's really good.
Then Joe Burrow. Joe freaking Burrow.
Yes.
I expect a lot of big things from him this upcoming season. Jamar Chase, I don't think he'll have a sophomore slump.
No.
You have T. Higgins. You have Joe Mixon, which, Joe Mixon kind of has some durability issues, but, the Bengals are, committed to him. So that definitely gives Burrow a good option out of the backfield to toss to for swing routes and screens. And they're looking to build that offensive line a little bit more to where Joe Burrow doesn't get hit as much as last year.
There you go.
So Joe Burrow, I expect big things from him. I have him where you have him right now. But by the end of the year, if things go according to the plan for the Bengals, I could see him being top 2, top 3 finishers in the league.
Okay, now I can get with that. I can understand that being because he has 3 very competent wide receivers. Not many quarterbacks in this league can go down their roster and say, okay, I have 3 starting caliber wide receivers on my roster. Like, I know for sure that Jamar Chase could himself stand alone and be a number 1. T. Higgins has proven that he's capable of being a true number 1. And before they even came along, there was Tyler Boyd. And he's also pretty capable of being a number 1. In fantasy, he might be more of a wide receiver too, but at the same time, he gives production. They have production, and then you just add in Joe Mixon, and it's you can't go wrong catching 4, 5, 6 passes a game out of the backfield. If he can average you 4 catches a game, that just boosts up Joe Burrow's value every catch. That's in PP, not now in non-PPR, maybe not so much. But yeah, I believe he has the ability to really take his game to a new level because Jamar Chase is a freak. There's no denying his ability, none. And if he can continue to be that productive, the sky's the limit.
Let's see. You have Matthew Stafford right after Joe Burrow. For me, I had Russell Wilson, so I'm assuming we flip-flopped. Yeah, we flip-flopped there. So let's hear your case for Matthew Stafford, and then I'll give my pitch for Russell Wilson.
Weapons. Ability. I just feel he's had a year to get acclimated to this offense. Yes, they don't have Odell Beckham, but I still feel that there will be a resurgence. And I'm betting on one thing. Now, I'm just going to tell you, this is my little secret corner. Never has there been a consistent pass-catching running back in Sean McVay's offense outside of Todd Gurley. I think this is going to be Cam Akers' year to really solidify himself as a complete back. Yes, he has had to fight with injuries. When we get into running backs, I'm going to talk about him as well, even though I'm not going to give too much away. But I feel like their offense can take another step, and I feel like with Matthew Stafford's consistency and ability to still make the deep ball, make the deep passes, I feel like their offense is going to take a major step up.
I was going to say, for me, I also want to use the running back situation in Denver to help Russell Wilson's case, they signed Javonte Williams this past year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they signed him, and I think he shows a lot of promise. I think he could be that Chris Carson type that Russell Wilson had in Seattle. In fact, I believe, yeah, I'll get to Javonte Williams later on, but yeah, I kind of see a resurgence in Russell Wilson's career with him going to Denver because you have receivers that, I mean, they're decent. They're not like guys you would go out and get like the first round of your fantasy draft by any
Mm-hmm.
means. But Cortland Sutton, he's proven to be a reliable pass catcher. Jerry Judy, granted, he's had some durability issues, but he can also catch the ball in a pinch. And Tim Patrick, I think he's a great option coming out of the slot. And
Mm-hmm.
if I'm not mistaken, I believe they still have Noah Fant. In fact, let me look real quick.
No, he's in
No,
Seattle.
they don't. Yeah, you're right. So you have a couple. You have a couple. I'm
They
not
have
even
Albert
sure.
O, right?
Yeah, Albert O. And with his stats last year, I mean, they weren't great, but he is projected to, have a pretty decent year as far as at the tight end position, as far as like for PPR. So, I mean, I could see Russell Wilson, just playing, I don't want to say lights out, but he's definitely got something to prove after being traded from Seattle.
Yes.
So I see him showing up and showing out.
Yeah, and it's kind of a rebuttal to kind of go back. You have to look when I think of Matthew Stafford, I see Cooper Kupp, the true number one wide receiver, in fantasy. I really think that Allen Robertson's going to make a resurgence in his career. He's another wide receiver with something to prove this year. To prove that he's still capable. And and Van Jefferson's also one of those X factors. He's a borderline wide receiver too, but he could be more if given the snaps, and he's going to get that opportunity. Obviously, with OBJ not there anymore, and Robert Woods is also not there anymore. So I really think they believe in Van Jefferson and his ability to make big plays, and I think they're going to run with it this year.
And have Tom Brady in the same spot as you do.
Mm-hmm.
Tom Brady. You going ahead, and then you know what? You talk about Tom Brady. I'll talk about Tom Brady here in a little bit.
Okay.
Because I have a bold statement about Tom Brady, but going ahead.
Okay. Spoiler alert. I wanted to put him at 12, but being he's Tom Brady, I felt like that was too low. That he hasn't shown really any decline, and he's adding weapons. Yes, he doesn't have Gronk, but I believed in Russell Gage when he was with Atlanta, so I still feel that he's capable with Mike Evans. He's got Leonard Fournette back. He's got Cameron Brate. I'm pretty sure that they're going to put use to Cameron Brate. And I just feel like there's a lot of opportunity to continue to be Tom Brady, even at his age. His age is the only reason that he's dipping, and also because he's almost has zero ability to make any yards scrambling with his feet. Nor does he desire to be a running quarterback at his age. So,
yeah,
he's Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Until he shows he's falling off a cliff, I'm not going to take him on my top 12.
I still have him in my top 12, but I'll get to him here in a bit. Let's move on to Dak Prescott.
Okay.
Listen, Cowboys are going to be Cowboys.
Yeah.
I mean, I
no
think
Mark Cooper. No Cedric Wilson, but they still have some weapons. They still have CeeDee Lamb.
Still have Zeke.
Yeah, even though Zeke, I feel in my mind, is about to fall off a cliff and be taken over by Tony Pollard. You heard it here first.
Yeah, I think that's long overdue.
Yeah,
Heard it here
but
second.
they have an offense that is capable of producing fantasy points. He's going to probably stick around the 22, 23, ADP. He's probably going to be somewhere around 10, 11. He has ability to be in the top 5 if things really click with their offense. But I don't foresee that really happening because it looks like the one staple of their team is falling off a cliff for the offensive line. So it may be a little bit more difficult for him to find those lanes, but he also has opportunity if he learns to use his feet again. So until he shows me a little bit more, I don't see him any higher than 9. Well, 10. I
I was
can't
going to
see
say,
him.
I think he'll still finish in the top 10, but I think it's going to rely mainly on Dalton Schultz out of the tight end position.
Yes, touchdowns.
Because I mean, Dalton Schultz, he just kind of came out of nowhere last year. Like, I don't think, like in the leagues that I was in last year, I think only a couple people may have had him. And then he just had like a couple big games, and then next thing you know, he's off. He was claimed on the waiver wire just like that.
Like that. I can't even lie. I picked him up myself.
Literally, like I see Dalton Schultz, dictating what kind of season that Dak Prescott has. And, obviously CeeDee Lamb, as long as, he can be a consistent target or a consistent pass catcher, not drop any balls, not fold under the pressure when the game's on the line. Yeah. I think he'll help out Dak a lot as well, but I don't see him like in the top 5. I see him in the lower tier of the top 10 as well.
Yeah, I can agree with you on that. He has a lot to prove in my mind because he has to be there, be present, be that guy because Amari Cooper's no longer there, so he is the number 1. So he has a lot to prove. And CeeDee Lamb, and I really think that if he's good, Dak Prescott will be great, and that's just the way it's going to be. He's going to be very reliant on Schultz and on CeeDee Lamb for a lot of the offense. Maybe it's going to be Tony Pollard, but maybe it'll be Ezekiel also helping out of the backfield. Who knows? We'll see.
We have Aaron Rodgers at 11.
Mm-hmm.
I can agree with that. I mean, listen, it's no secret he lost Devontae Adams.
Yes,
but
right after he re-upped for 1 more year.
Yeah, but it's Aaron Rodgers. I mean, somehow, some way or another, he's going to put up the stats he's projected for. He's going to throw touchdowns. He's going to be a playmaker. I mean, that's just who Aaron Rodgers is. And I hate saying that because, division rival, but it is what it is. I mean, he's an all-time talent, in my opinion. I can't say enough about the guy. Not to mention, I think, having Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon will help him a lot this year to where,
yes.
He'll have some reliable targets outside of the backfield.
Yes, I can agree with that because he really is going to need a lot of help from a lot of places to be relevant in fantasy football this year because, as you say, he doesn't have that surefire top wide receiver, and Allen Lazard is not that guy.
You're not wrong. And Christian Watson,
he's another one of those contested catches guys. Contested catches.
Yeah, and he may surprise us. He may have a heck of a rookie year, but let's just hope that that click is there and it just goes off, like that, from day one. So let's move on to Jalen Hurts. It's no secret he got a lot of help this offseason, especially in the
Yes.
draft.
Yes. But will he be able to put those pieces together to make something?
If he doesn't, I think his time in Philly is done. If I'm
Yes.
being honest, there is no reason why he can't show up and show out on a week-to-week basis.
With that many
Um,
tools in this toolbox.
oh yeah, absolutely. So we'll have to wait and see what Jalen Hurts has in store for us for sure.
Yes, definitely. I could see Jalen Hurts being higher. Now, I'm gonna give you these. This is my first stats of the day for my first bugman stats of the day. I'm learning how to use banners on the fly, y'all. All right, so let me pull up Fantasy Pros. I use Fantasy Pros. This is not an endorsement. Well, it kind of is, but it's unofficial endorsement. I use Fan Pros to do a lot of my consensus, like overlook of ADP, stats, sleepers, all that kind of stuff, because it gives me a lot of things that I need. Now, when we're referring to Jalen Hurts right now, right? Let me show you his overall ADP. His overall ADP is 69. So that's around the sixth round in 10 PPR leagues, fifth round in 12 team PPR leagues. So, and I'm going to give you his average, what his projections are, his fantasy projections. They're projecting him to be. Now take this with a grain of salt. We are in July. I mean, we're not even in July. But this is the consensus. They have him as number 4 overall with projected 340.7 fantasy points. Now, that is 3,500 yards passing, 24 touchdowns, but the rushing, 700, they project him to have 737 yards and 7 touchdowns rushing the ball. So, like I say again, this is June. But with that being said, that is something to keep an eye on, because people on the inside, this is consensus. This is from four sources, legitimate sources, and this is the consensus that he will be projected to be the fourth. It's Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, Jalen Hurts. Do you want to know who number 5 is projected to be?
Lay it on me.
Take a guess. Yes.
I'm going to say Tom Brady.
Close. Lamar Jackson.
Wow.
Yeah. To round out the top 10, it's Lamar Jackson at 5, Kyler Murray at 6, Tom Brady at 7, Dak Prescott at 8, Aaron Rodgers at 9, and Justin Burrow rounds out the top 10. So we get an idea kind of how people around the league are seeing the talent and evaluating it. And there's no reason with Jalen Hurts having as many legitimate veteran targets as he has. Well, he only has really one. But I really believe that they have something in their tight end. The running backs need a little bit of kind of reworking a little bit. We'll get into that. But wide receiver standpoint, Dallas Goedert, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. You have a good little bit of firepower to work with. I think he can get it done. So that's another guy I feel like he can find a path to top 5 if things go in the right direction as far as using his legs, staying healthy, learning the system, using his tools, because he has a lot of tools at his disposal. He is no slouch at quarterback. As his time in
I was
Alabama.
gonna say it's not like he's a bad quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Like personally, I mean, I like Jalen Hurts. It's just, it's just one of those. I almost hate the situation that he's in because it's like, okay, this is your year. If you mess this up, guess what? It's like a one and done ordeal.
Mm-hmm.
But me personally, I hope he rises to the occasion, shows up, shows out. For PPR per ESPN,
Mm-hmm.
they actually have him at 318
Mm-hmm.
points and 3,300 passing yards.
Mm-hmm.
But I gotta agree with you from Fantasy Pros. Honestly, I think it's one of those where once he starts rushing the ball and gets those rushing touchdowns, that's
Mm-hmm.
just going to bump it up even more.
Yes. The ability to use his feet is going to be his biggest asset as far as extending the plays. To have a pretty good offensive line, it's not the best, but it's better than years past. And I really feel like if the pieces can gel and stick together, I really believe that Jalen Hurts could carve a path to the top 5. Will it be easy? No, because there are a lot of quarterbacks also like Russell Wilson, Dak Prescott, Aaron Rodgers that are really also can try to stake their own claim, and it's not including the guys that are already there. So it's going to be a kind of hard path, but there's a way that he can get there. I really do think there's a way he can get there. Okay, from a quarterback not on this list, give me 3 quarterbacks you feel could find a way to make it into the top 12.
I'll do you one better. I could see this one sneaking into the top 8.
Mm-hmm.
It's a bold statement, but I think it could happen. And I'm going with Derek Carr.
How did I know you were going to say that name?
Predictable, I guess. Listen, with Derek Carr, you look at his stats last year. He threw a 68.4% completion rate,
Mm-hmm.
threw for 4,800 yards. His touchdowns was a little low. Well, I wouldn't say low. It's 23 touchdowns versus 14 interceptions.
Mm-hmm.
But you pick up Devontae Adams. You still have Darren Waller. So you have 2 very good, reliable targets right there.
Mm-hmm.
Defenses are going to be looking to build their game plan around those 2. You still have that third option in Hunter Renfrow. I expect him to have a good year. Josh Jacobs, I expect him to make a bounce back this year. Not to mention your pickup Kenyon Drake, which is an added bonus out of the backfield for a target for screens or swing passes,
Definitely.
so on and so forth. So I look for Derek Carr to have a much better season, and I would honestly put him within the top 10 by season's end.
Okay.
And then another name that I have is Tua Tagovailoa. I can never pronounce his right. Tua, that Dolphins quarterback.
There you go.
Now, listen, Tyreek Hill, he helps him a lot. I think it's a little bit of a bold statement from Tyreek Hill saying that Tua is a little bit more accurate than what Patrick Mahomes was. I mean, I'm not there. I'm not the wide receiver. I'm not a wide receiver, so I don't know any better. But to say that Tua is more accurate than Patrick Mahomes, who is already a proven quarterback in the league,
mm-hmm.
that's a bold statement.
Definitely.
Jalen Waddle, I see him having a good season in year 2. Cedric Wilson should be a good
slot guy.
Should be a good,
Good slot guy.
Yeah, exactly. Should be a great option out of the slot. they did pick up a couple, or not wide receivers, a couple good running backs. That one of them, Chase Edmonds,
Mm-hmm.
I think he's pretty decent out of the backfield for receptions. And Sony Michel.
He's not something I want to start a whole podcast talking about what he's going to do for their offense, but he's a good contributor. If someone, he's a good step-in guy.
Yeah, and I think that's where I'm at with Sony Michel.
Mm-hmm.
And you look at Tua's stats from last year: 67.8% completion rating, 2,653 yards passing, 16 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. I mean, as a first year, like full season starter, not great, but you give him some decent weapons to build on. I think it'll help him a lot.
Yes.
And then my last one for sleepers is Matt Ryan.
Come on. No. I can't accept that offer. Denied.
Listen.
No, go ahead. I can understand it. I can understand it moving to a new offense. He has value. So
I was gonna say he's moving to a new offense. It's kind of that whole new team, new me sort of mentality. Jonathan Taylor and Naheem Hines.
yes,
They're going to be great options. They're going to be great options for him to dink and dunk the ball to. Michael Pittman Jr. He should have a monster year
yes.
with having Matt Ryan as your quarterback as opposed to Carson Wentz last year.
Oh my goodness!
And then let's not forget Mo Alley Cox. If he's healthy, I expect him. Yeah, that's a big if.
Mm-hmm.
It's he should be poised to have a good year. I think, in my opinion. I mean, Matt Ryan. Listen, I know he was your guy in Atlanta for a lot of years.
Yeah.
And past couple seasons, he's kind of been on the decline.
Yes.
But I think him going to Indy, having literally the top guy in last year's fantasy with Jonathan Taylor is going to help him a lot.
Yeah. I can agree with you on that one. There's nothing too much bad you can say about Mr. Consistent Matt Ryan, one of the best Atlanta quarterbacks we had in Atlanta. So there's nothing you could tell me that could really dissuade me unless he was still with the Falcons. Then I would say no, because it just seemed as if it had run its course, and his ability to find the receivers, which were not at all shabby, this being Calvin Ridley. Inability to really make anything outside of him was not really his fault, but it kind of held him back a little bit, and his inability to find Julio in the red zone. But that's for another day. I'm going to pick up the pace a little bit and try to run through the next slide for running backs. But for my I'm just going to add one sleeper for quarterbacks. I'm going to say Trevor Lawrence. I'm going to put this out here on this podcast live, telling everybody who's listening, who will listen, look for everything you thought wouldn't happen in Jacksonville come together this year and happen. The defense is already there. The offense is going to take shape. The wide receivers that they have added to their regime has really given them a boost. Many people don't think that Christian Kirk is going to produce up to his pay grade. But I honestly don't really feel like he has to really fulfill, if that makes any sense. I feel like if he can stay within top 20 wide receiver and wide receiver one, he can be a great addition to help boost Lawrence's case. He also has, when healthy, James Robinson. ETN is back this year. So DJ Chark. The plethora of options that he's had a year to gel in the system. I feel like he's going to have the offseason and the OTAs to really get acquainted with the new head coach and just really try to push this in the right direction. Do I think they're going to have a winning season? Maybe not, but they have the second easiest schedule in the NFL. So on paper, I expect him to exceed his ADP. And people are talking about getting him in the late rounds, 8, 9. If you can get him in round 8 or round 9, or wait around, he might be in free agency waiver claims, and that he will exceed expectations this year. I really believe he will. I believe he's much more in line to do so than Zach Wilson. I'm just going to leave it there. All right. We're going to move on to our next slide. All right. Oh, there are your sleeper picks.
There they are.
Oh, my goodness. All right. There we go. We get shown the proof of the stats. Proof's all in the pudding. All right. Oh, our job.
Yeah, let's talk.
Okay.
Let's talk about our potential underperformers.
Ooh, that's why you wanted to come back to this.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll come. I'm gonna run through it just real quick. All right.
Okay.
So, as an absolute bust and someone I would stay away from completely, I wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole, is Trey Lance.
Yes.
Listen, there's a reason why San Francisco is holding on to Jimmy G. There's a reason for it. And you can't say, oh, you can't find a good trade partner. You can't get a good deal for him, so on and so forth. I'm sorry. I don't believe in Trey Lance. I don't see him vastly improving, especially with CBS Sports. Apparently, they are projecting him as a top 15 QB for fantasy. Don't see it.
Are you kidding me?
I kid you not. They see him like literally. He's at number 15, but he's at 15. Like it's insane. Ryan Tannehill, I would kind of stay away from him. I don't see him. Listen, 2021 stats is compared to 2020 stats. 2021 67.2% completion rating or completion percentage, 3,734 yards passing, 21 TDs, and 14 interceptions, as opposed to the 2020 Ryan Tannehill. 65.5 completion percentage, 3,819 yards, 33 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. And I'm sure he still has that, chip on his shoulder a little bit, and it's going to play head games with him since Tennessee drafted Malik Willis.
There you go.
And now, the moment y'all been waiting for with Tom Brady, I don't see him as a bust. I don't see him having a bad year. However, I do not see him performing the way that he has in years past. You lost Gronk. I know they picked up a few other weapons, but there was also those reports of him wanting to go to Miami.
Yeah.
He doesn't have Bruce Arians now. He has Todd Bowles, who's more of a defensive-minded coach.
Yes.
And then, he did retire. Now he's not going to retire. And it's just like, I don't know, man. It's just there's so many questions in my mind about Tom Brady, which leads on to trade bait. Jay, go ahead and hit the next slide.
Okay. All right.
We missed my trade bait. I'll just touch on it real quick. Tom Brady trade bait. Let's move on to running backs.
Oh, so all right, we're gonna kind of be kind of brisk. I'll take. If you want to take Jonathan Taylor, I'll talk about. Actually, hold on. My apologies. How does your list compare to this list?
Jonathan Taylor, I have him as number 1. Derrick Henry, number 2. Eckler, I have him flip-flop with Najee Harris, actually.
What?
I have Joe Mixon at 4. Dalvin Cook, I have him there. Chubb and Connor, I have them flip-flop. Fournette, I don't even actually have in there. In place of him, I have Antonio Gibson, actually. We'll touch more on that here in a bit.
Yes, we will. Like, why is he even in your top 12?
I'll get to that. Trust me on that one.
Okay.
Alvin Kamara. I got a surprise for you on that one. And
Not
then,
even
Christian McCaffrey, I do have that one rounding out my top 12 as well. But
what? How is this even possible?
Well, with Antonio Gibson?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You know what? We'll go ahead and touch on it real quick. I actually do have him as one of my sleepers
Okay.
for this year. Listen, it's no secret this is Carson Wentz's last stand as a starting quarterback. Like this is it for him. If he does not thrive this year, then he's done. Therefore, I truly believe Antonio Gibson, with if things pan out the way they should, and he'd be running back number 1 for the Commanders. Still a weird football team name, but whatever. Washington football team.
Mm-hmm.
I see him thriving with that. Honestly, in fact, with my projection with what I use for projection, let's see, they have him at just shy of 260 points for the year. That's with close to 1,200 yards rushing. Hold on. Lost my spot for a minute. Yeah, there we go. That's with him having 50 receptions. It's going to be one of those. He'll be. I think he'll be a good, another good, reliable pass catcher coming out of the backfield, and hopefully will help Carson Wentz a little bit. It's a bold statement. You heard it here first. I have Antonio Gibson, top 12 in the league.
Who would you rather have, Antonio Gibson or Aaron Jones, full PPR?
Honestly, since the emergence of A.J. Dillon, and I see him being running back number 1, especially in the red zone situations, I would honestly take Antonio Gibson. It's a bold statement, I know. But I know.
Even with Antonio Gibson's injury history.
Honestly, yeah, I think I would. I mean, even though Aaron Jones is proven, and he has obviously Aaron Rodgers and Carson Wentz are total polar opposites in terms of how they play the position. I think I would rather have Antonio Gibson than Aaron Jones.
And just the outside bugman stat, you want to know what the PFF ranking for their Washington Commanders offensive line for the projected starter lineup?
Yeah, let me know.
15.
Oof.
Middle of the pack. They're a high potential. They have high potential. And Jonathan Taylor, Leonard Fournette, let me go back to my kind of sleeper, because I'm assuming not a lot of people see him the same way I do. If we go back to the PFF ranking, they are number 4, right behind Detroit Lions.
Ooh.
We're going to get into that. Now, Jonathan Taylor, my top running back, who I feel is just a complete running back, has a number 10 offensive line. But he also has Matt Ryan, who is known to check down. He's quick to grab and draw when it comes to pressure. He loves the ability to check down to his wide receiver, to his running back. And he has 2 options in the backfield, but I think that Jonathan Taylor will obviously be the first and second down back. I think third down is still going to be up for grabs depending on the situation, but I really feel that Jonathan Taylor should get a bulk of the running. As we all know that he is a workhorse. He is a phenomenal player, and I really think he has potential to be true number 1. And that's my little 2 cents on him. Moving on to Derrick Henry. Go ahead.
Jonathan Taylor, I see him having a repeat year. That's from last year. Just a complete workhorse. He's that guy. He's not afraid to take a hit. Um, he great catcher out of the backfield. And like you said, Matt Ryan, he likes to check the ball down and, little dink and dunk passes. I think that'll help as far as, Jonathan Taylor's numbers for PPR.
Yeah. Consensus rankings has him at an average of 296. With ESPN obviously ranking him very high, and so is CBS. So he's the number one off the board. Can probably NFL.com, CBS, and ESPN. So there's very high hopes for him, and I really feel like.
So let me ask you this, Jay.
Yeah.
Would you rather have Jonathan Taylor or would you rather have Derrick Henry for that number one overall pick in fantasy?
Depends on whether we're in PPR or non-PPR.
PPR.
Jonathan Taylor.
Okay. Then
non-PPR,
I assume.
Derrick Henry.
That's fair.
Yeah, it's just it's a flip flop. Obviously points per reception is a big thing, and without those points per reception, I think that Derrick Henry just separates himself a little bit more from Jonathan Taylor with his ability to carry the ball and his not really quick burst, but his just ability to just gain yardage. Yes, he's been doing it with an astronomical amount of carries every year. Last year was his first year actually getting hurt for a significant period of time. And I really feel like this year would be the opportunity for him to really solidify himself as coming back. I think he's got an Adrian Peterson season in him, and I'm ready to see it.
I like that. Austin Eckler, you have him at 3. I had Najee Harris at 3. I flip-flopped. So let's hear your argument for Eckler, and then I'll put in mine for Najee Harris.
Okay. Eckler, he's got a lot of tools in his tool belt. He has ability to catch out of the backfield. He has ability to make big plays with his feet, running the football. He's just one of those freaks of nature that you can just put him out there. He can do anything. What separates him from being number one is his ability to stay on the field. He's he's had the injury bug, small injuries here and there just about every season, and has to have guys like the likes of Justin Jefferson and to name a few running backs to spell him on his timeout. But I really feel like if he could stay healthy for about 14, 15 games, he could be a true number 3 if he can stay healthy all season, which is not likely. But one could dream. He could actually possibly be number 1. I really feel like he has the ability to really stretch himself in that offense. His run after the catch is something that only the likes of Christian McCaffrey has ever been able to do, So I really feel he has great potential. Just will he be able to live up to the ceiling? That's the only question.
I was going to say, that's kind of why I put him at 5 for me personally. I mean, past couple seasons, Austin Eckler has been, my top. Granted, I fall down in, draft choices, where I land, but more often than not, Austin Eckler has usually been my number 1 or number 2 pick in fantasy leagues. So trust me, I know where you're coming from with the whole injury bug thing, because then it's just like, well, crap.
Yeah.
But I put Najee Harris at 3. Reason being is because, it's no secret, Pittsburgh drafted a new quarterback. I don't see Kenny Pickett having a spectacular year. However, I see Najee Harris, taking full advantage of that with his carries per game. You look at his stats last year, which I have them pulled up. 1,200 yards, 7 TDs. That's for rushing. And then for receiving yards, for receptions, he had 74 receptions for 467 yards, only 3 touchdowns. So I don't think Najee Harris is in the talks of, say, Jonathan Taylor yet. or
Yeah.
Austin Eckler. But I think by next year, you're talking Najee Harris could be, that guy who's, up there in the top 1, 2, or 3 picks, this time next year.
I can agree with you.
It'll just depend on how this year plays out for him for sure.
The only thing that really holds me back in regards to Najee Harris is the inexperience at quarterback. You don't really know what you're going to get. So I know he's going to get opportunities because of checkdowns, but I just don't know if he'll be able to use that opportunity, or if Kenny Pickett, if Kenny Pickett is the starting quarterback, we'll be able to get him those balls in those situations where he's most deadly. And it's a lot of ifs. Austin Eckler just really just moves the needle a little bit more for me. He played 16 games last year, so that was a plus. If he can give me 16 games this year, I really think he can really make a swifter transition. 20-plus yards rushes, he had 3. Najee Harris had none. So it's a lot of short yardage stuff. That's the kind of thing that kind of moves the needle for me a little bit. But he could take a step forward and learn from those situations and get to that position where he can be a little bit better than what he has been. All these guys in the top 5 have that ability to continue to push the needle to try to be number 1. And that's why I feel like they're there. So Najee Harris has potential to be higher than what he is right now. He's just got a lot of proving, and so does the quarterback. His quarterback has to prove a lot to me, and also he still has a lot to prove to me as far as yards after the catch and yards after, contact, things of that nature.
Speaking of yards after the catch, we are both in agreement with Joe Mixon at number 4.
Yes. You can take this one.
I hope he has a great year this year. I hope he, stays healthy because, I think he had a couple injuries the past couple seasons that kept him out a few games. But when he's on the field, he can still produce. So, and with Cincinnati, building up their O-line a little bit, I think that's just going to help Joe Mixon. And, we talked about helping out Joe Burrow out, earlier. So I expect a lot of things from Joe Mixon. How about you, Jay?
Yes. He's my diamond in the rough, as far as players who really put up a big impact for their team. Last year he was a steal. Last year he came back with something to prove, and he really showed his worth. And that was something that I kind of banked in him. I've been doing fantasy football with him on my team for the last 5 years, and he hasn't let me down. And that's one of those things that just really just sets him apart. I predict there's going to be a boost in his ADP just because of who his quarterback is. It's going to be, well, maybe not in his draft position, maybe more in his fantasy projections. I really feel like he's going to get a lot more from Joe Burrow than many people expect. Joe Burrow could become a top 5 quarterback. We talked about this. He could flirt with number 1. Let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. He's still got a lot to prove in as far as his accuracy and composure. But I really think that Joe Mixon is a great running back, and he's only 25 years old. So,
which is crazy to think.
Yes, it was just crazy to think. It seems like he's been here forever, but
yeah,
he's only 25 years old. And he's still got a lot left in the tank, I believe. I think he's going to be great. I think he's going to be really good. All right.
We're in agreement with my favorite running back, which I'm a little biased being a Vikings fan, Dalvin Cook. Listen, I love Dalvin Cook, as a player for sure. He gives you receptions, he gives you touchdowns, he gives you yards. He's a complete package. However, it's no secret, he does fight the injury bug year after year.
Yes.
And with the reports that I've read on OTAs and so on and so forth, with Kevin O'Connell coming in as the new coach, he's wanting to use Dalvin Cook not only in the backfield but on the line as a possible slot option as well. And I like the idea. I love the idea. I don't think Dalvin Cook is or has the durability for that. So that's why he's not higher on my list. But we're both in agreement with where he's at number 6.
Yes, and what puts him at number 6 for me is the fact that if you look over his last 4 seasons, he hasn't made more than 14 starts. With the last time he started 14 games was 2020. But his attempts are still within average. His yardage took a slight dip last year. His touchdowns took a hit last year as well. It just looked like Dalvin Cook hit a little bit of a decline. But as you say, I have a little faith that he can have a bounce back season, knowing that Madison is on his heels, nipping at the opportunity to take that spot from him. And I really think that he's going to make a comeback. Last year, he had 6 total touchdowns, which made him 26th. His rushing yards, he was 5th. So I really feel like he has great potential to possibly flirt with the top 5, maybe even top 3 if things go right. But it also depends a lot on their new offensive coordinator and how he wants to, if he wants to move away from the run heavy and go more for a balanced offense, which may or may not help Dalvin Cook. I don't think it will help Dalvin Cook. So that's where I'm at with that.
Then next we have Nick Chubb, listen, I would have Nick Chubb higher on my list. Mm-hmm. I mean, I have him where you have him, but I would have him higher on my list if it wasn't for Kareem Hunt. Because, I mean, Chubb's great, but, Kareem Hunt kind of takes carries and plays from Nick Chubb to where you never know, like if you have both running backs, if you have both Chubb and Kareem Hunt on your team, I mean that's a solid move. It's going to be hard to decide which one to start from a week-to-week basis. It's like, all right, do I start Kareem Hunt or do I have Nick Chubb start? Because more often than not, if you try to start both of them, one's going to flop for you while the other one just flourishes.
Yeah, what pushes me towards more of Nick Chubb is they both have a history of hitting the injury bug a little bit, but I just believe in Nick Chubb being younger, actually being a little bit better, and more well-rounded than Kareem Hunt. I just believe in Kareem Hunt's potential just to be a change of pace guy, and if needed, step in and be the guy. But I don't think him being the guy for multiple weeks at a time is in his demographic anymore. So I think he's just playing to his ability. He piggybacks a lot off of Nick Chubb. If Nick Chubb's on, he gets less time. If Nick Chubb's off, he gets more time. But I still think it's Nick Chubb's is the RB1, and I think he's going to prove it this year as he did pretty good job of doing it last year. He has a lot to improve on. Just staying healthy is the main thing. He's pretty consistent.
Then we have James Conner, both in the same spot. In my opinion, he surprised me a lot last year. I didn't expect him to. I think he led the league in receiving touchdowns, if I'm not rushing touchdowns, if I'm not mistaken.
You might be right. You keep going. I'll check that out.
But yeah, it surprised the heck out of me. I didn't expect him to perform the way that he did. Leaving Pittsburgh to go to Arizona, I was a little skeptical. It's like, all right, what's he really going to do in a place like Arizona? I thought, him leaving Pittsburgh was a bad idea initially, but he proved me wrong, and I hope he has another great year because prior to him going to Arizona, I liked James Conner a lot. I thought he was a great fit for Pittsburgh until things played out the way that they did.
To complete your stat, he was number 2.
Okay, I was
Number 2
close.
was 15. Jonathan Taylor had 17, and he was tied for second. No, I'm sorry. No. Yeah, he was tied for 15 touchdowns. Jonathan Taylor had 18.
Oh, okay.
Connor and Harris. Damian Harris, not Najee. Nick Chubb was pretty low on that list. Yeah, Nick Chubb was actually pretty low on the rushing touchdown, lower than I thought. So this is preseason. He had 8.
He had a couple injuries last year, I believe, which is why Nick Chubb was lower on
Yeah, he
point
started
total.
14 games last year.
Okay.
Yeah. But for him to only start 14 games and still get over 1,200 yards, that really gives you something to look to. It's just having to fight off Kareem Hunt taking his goal line touches or goal-to-go touches. Those goal-to-go touches are what really – he's really dynamic, and Nick Chubb has really got to add another layer to his game in order to really fulfill that spot.
So I already touched on Antonio Gibson because I didn't have Leonard Fournette on my top 12. So let's hear your reasoning for Leonard Fournette.
All right, let me pull some data from fantasy data for you right now.
All right.
He was 19th overall in rushing. Its stats, 10 touchdowns overall, was 8th in the league. So that's really what I'm kind of banking on. And just his ability to just move around and elevate Tom Brady. And I really feel like he's still relatively young at 27. He's kind of hitting that hump. But I really think he's going to hit his prime this year, having the keys to the offense with Ronald Jones no longer being there to take snaps from him. He was the lead guy last year, as he started the lead guy every year until he lost it to some other running back. But anyway, I just really feel that Leonard Fournette is going to be my sleeper. He's going to take a gigantic step forward because Tom Brady's going to need him more. He was shown to be able to take on catching passes out of the backfield, which was a big plus. He was numbered. That's the second highest receiving yards. His most being 2019 with the Jaguars, where he started 15 games. He only started 14 games this year, so he did have miss a couple games. He played in 14. I'm sorry, he only started 13. So I'm not going to add an Azer stat him today. Save that for another time. But he only had 2 touchdowns. He did have a fumble. Receiving, he did have a fumble, but I really feel like they're going to advance on that. He caught 69. Yes. He had 69 receptions out of the backfield. And
okay, so now I can see why you put Leonard Fournette in there now. That makes sense.
That is also second to the 2019 season with the Jags. So if you can envision a world where he can produce 1,100 yards, 8 or 9 touchdowns rushing, anywhere between 60 to 70 catches, because Chris Godwin's may not be healthy to start the season. There's still speculation that he's not going to be ready to go. So there's going to be a lot of that his target share that's going to have to be fed around a couple guys, and I feel like there's going to be some for Leonard Fournette because he's shown he's capable of catching out of the backfield. People thought he lost his juice when he left Jacksonville. He had to take a little time in Tampa Bay to really find himself, and I really feel like this year, I'm hoping that he's not going to be another Mike Davis, get an opportunity and then just flop at the chance. But they have a very good offensive line. The offensive line is projected to be the 4th best in the league. by PFF's grade. So I really feel they have a lot of potential, and that's my sleeper of the day. All right.
All right, then. Well, after your sleeper, we're both. Or no, I'm sorry. We flip flopped Aaron Jones and Alvin Kamara.
Mm-hmm.
Let's hear your argument for Aaron Jones, and I'll put in mine for Alvin Kamara.
Okay, short and sweet. With AJ Dillon and his nips, I really feel like he's going to have split snaps. Goal line snaps are going to be taken away, so he's going to have to create his money out of the pass game, which I feel like with the lack of offensive weapons that Aaron Rodgers has, he's going to lean on Aaron Jones a lot more, especially out of the backfield. Maybe put him in the slot a little bit. So I really feel like his ability to catch out of the backfield and make things happen will give him an edge and kind of hold off AJ Dillon a little bit because he's going to lose the goal line touches to Dillon. So that's why I think he's going to get his buck. First and second down and catching out of the backfield.
I was going to say, I kind of have the same reasoning behind Alvin Kamara.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that worries me about taking Alvin Kamara is, he is facing possible suspension.
Yes, possible 6-game suspension.
Yeah. However, that's not to say you should stay away from him completely. If you can pick him up,
Mm-hmm.
Let's just say fourth or fifth round. Fifth round, in my opinion, is probably way too far down. But if
Yes,
you pick him
even
up,
with the suspension, I don't think consensus they're going to let him fall that far because of the simple fact of he's still damn talented. He's still
going to
very
produce.
talented running back. And anybody to have him on his team, even if he's just sitting on your bench collecting dust, you can get a running back to go out there for a couple weeks and do something. Just do something.
Exactly. And, it's no secret, Alvin Kamara, the past few years, great option out of the backfield for, your swing passes, your screens. He's great in the red zone. Like, he's going to get his touches when he's on the field. He's going to get you points when he's on the field. So I think that's why I have him a little higher than Aaron Jones. But I agree with you completely about Aaron Jones. I mean, A.J. Dillon, dude's an absolute stud. I mean, when you have tree trunks for legs,
it's kind of hard.
I mean,
yeah. Oh my goodness! But yes, that's one of those things. You just you have to find ways to be efficient and to be relevant in the NFL. And by him expanding his ability to catch out of the backfield, I think that kind of gives him a head up on A.J. Dillon. Not to say that A.J. Dillon can't do the same thing. He's just not proven at being able to do that. So kind of have to leave that there. I had Christian McCaffrey at number 12.
So did I.
And I believe we're on the same boat about his injury history. And the reason, but I'm going to tell you, consensus has him in the average of number 3. I, in my mind, could never, after the 3 years in a row that I have picked him up, I'm going to give you another Bugman stat. I got to give them their props. I got this from the CBS Sports Fantasy Football podcast. And Alvin Kamara, not Alvin Kamara, not speak that upon him. Christian McCaffrey has had 7 injuries in the last 2 years, and 4 of them have been to his leg or his foot. So the main thing that you need as a running back to do all these explosive jukes, stutter steps, all your footwork, you need your legs and you need your feet. His injury history is just riddled with injuries that have kept him out. For the last 3 years, he's played half a season.
Yeah.
you in the last 3 years, you played 14 times, 14, 16, 20 games.
And that's not to knock his talent, because when he's on the field, he's good.
Yes,
It's just
when he's
he
on the
is,
field.
yeah, he's just so fragile that you can't really rely on him to be there on a week to week basis, because he's going to give you yards, he's going to give you receptions, he's going to give you touchdowns. It's just you got to stay healthy.
Yes.
So let me ask you this though: if you're the coach of the Panthers,
Mm-hmm.
would you consider moving Christian McCaffrey to, say, a wide receiver type position? Because he's already proven he can catch the ball.
They have already, uh, via the beat writer for the Panthers, has already been confirmed that he's not going to take on that role. They've been asked that question at OTAs, and it's definitive that he's not going to play in the slot. So I don't think Matt Rule sees him in that position. I think he's going to use. I think they brought in Deontay Foreman, and they also have Chuba Hubbard. So I think they're going to lighten his load. He's still going to be the number one when healthy, but I really feel like they're going to lighten his load. Let me show you this right here. Let me go down. Let me read this real quick. All right, Christian McCaffrey has been unable to stay healthy for the last 2 years. During the 2020 season, he only appeared in 3 games, while missing 13 due to various injuries to his ankle, thigh, and shoulder. And he missed how many games did he miss last year? He only played 4 games last year.
I think so.
So, because of same areas, foot, ankle, thigh, shoulder, all the things that you need as a running back, you're not. It seems as if he should have chose to be a wide receiver from the beginning, because he could have been just as dynamic as a Wes Welker or Cooper Kupp, because he has the raw talent and ability and footwork, and he can obviously catch the ball. There's not many players that can catch 100 passes out of the backfield in a year. So if he can get back to 2019, 2018, maybe I can put a little bit more faith in him. But he's going to have to prove himself to me. He's going to have to really. I'm not trading for him. I'm not even looking at him, because he's just not in the realm of what I would feel to be a viable option to build a championship around. Dynasty League, I wouldn't touch him. I wouldn't even touch him, because I couldn't bank on him being around for multiple years at any high level.
Speaking of not touching certain players, I'm looking at my list. I'm looking at your list. What's one name you don't see on there?
Saquon Barkley.
Absolutely.
Wouldn't touch him with a 10-foot pole.
No. And that's not a knock at him. I blame the Giants organization for that, if I'm being honest.
They didn't take care of their players.
Yeah, that has been a dumpster fire for the last few seasons. And
he's under Cordero Patterson. He's under Melvin Gordon. He's under James Robinson. He's under Kenneth Walker III. He's ranked lower than Marlon Mack. That's how much they don't see him as being a viable option, if I'm looking at this correctly. Oh, what's also another name that we don't see on this list?
Ezekiel Elliott.
Yes. And also DeAndre Swift. I'm wrong. He's under Cam Akers, Antonio Gibson, Ezekiel Elliott, then Saquon Barkley, then Josh Jacobs, then Elijah Mitchell, J.K. Dobbins, and Breece Hall. So that rounds out the top 25 right there. So that would make him 21st, 22nd off the board. 22nd running back off the board. A far cry from his rookie season, I tell you that much.
Absolutely.
All
So
right.
here are my sleeper picks.
I see your Antonio Gibson.
Yeah, you do.
Pollard. I see a path for Tony Pollard because of Ezekiel's injury history, so I like that one. Javonte Williams, I'm kind of scoffing at a little bit, but I feel like they still have Melvin Gordon, right?
They do, but I mean, I don't
They're
think
going to
Melvin
continue
Gordon
to push him
is.
out there. They're going to continue to push Melvin Gordon until he falls off the cliff. I'm sorry to say
Yeah,
it.
but I don't see Melvin Gordon starting a lot of games. I don't see him playing a lot of games, if I'm being honest. I would feel a lot more comfortable going with Javonte Williams, as I alluded to earlier about Russell Wilson. Um, when I was talking about Russell Wilson, I see Javonte Williams being that Chris Carson type of running back that
Uh,
Russell had in Seattle for a lot of years, where you just toss him the ball and let him run,
I
and
I can I
go
can
ahead.
see I can see that. And with his pass catching ability just takes him up to a whole nother level of potential. You see able to catch 40 plus balls. That's pretty good. And you got a quarterback that really didn't in the system that he was in didn't really get the ball to the running back in the passing game as much as I would have liked. But that might have been more of the coach and less of the quarterback.
Now for my second sleeper, let's talk about Tony Pollard for a minute. Listen, when he's healthy, I think he's a better fit for Dallas than what Ezekiel Elliott is.
Okay.
I think he's a better pass catcher.
Mm-hmm.
Rushing wise, I think Ezekiel is a bit stronger at it than what Tony Pollard is. But Tony Pollard can hold his own. I mean, listen to this for a minute. I mean, you see the stat line there.
Mm-hmm.
On 130 attempts, he was averaging 5.5 yards per carry. That's not bad. I mean, especially for RB2.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Oh, it's not
5.5
bad at
yards per.
all.
I mean, he can find holes. He can squeak through holes. He's not going to try to run over anyone. He'll try to run around them, which, I know in today's NFL, you kind of want that running back to run through a defender, but that doesn't always work out. Hence, people getting injured, like, your Christian McCaffrey, your Saquon Barkley, or even your Austin Eckler from time to time. So
There
the
you
fact that Tony Pollard can run around defenders and actually, make something happen. Oh, and he only did this in 15 games, not
Yes.
even a full season, because I know he missed a couple games.
Mm-hmm.
And then, with his receiving yards or receiving or receptions or whatever, 8.6 yards per catch. That's pretty respectable coming out of the backfield, in my opinion.
He caught 39 of his 46 targets. That's sufficient.
Yeah,
So
I think he's a
there's
better.
potential. And
I
only
think
2
he's
fumbles.
a. I think he's a better option for Dak Prescott coming out of the backfield than Ezekiel Elliott, and a lot cheaper.
Yeah, I might add. Lord cheaper, I might add. Yes, but I agree with you on all regards, on all three. No, not on Antonio Gibson, but
I was going
I'll
to say
give
we
you.
already talked about Antonio Gibson.
The Commanders just leave a bad taste in my mouth. The organization stinks. I'm just gonna say that out loud. They stink, and until they do a complete overhaul of the culture there, I don't think anything really positive will come out of it. Terry McLaurin did sign an extension, 3 years, $71 million extension to stay with them. I don't really know if I like that, but is do I feel like Carson Wentz can become a somewhat serviceable quarterback? Top 25, no, but top 30, yeah. It's not saying much, but he can get you 17 to 20 points a game. That will put you at QB 26.
I mean, it's not last place.
It's not last place, but it's not the best. But can Terry McLaurin make that work? Can also Antonio Gibson make that work? Yes, but I just really don't feel like Antonio Gibson can stay healthy enough to satisfy me taking him anywhere above the 5th round. I just don't feel comfortable enough taking him with a higher pick than that because I want to give him a chance to have a little upside. And if I draft him in the 5th or 6th round, I feel like if he does anywhere near what he did last year, if he can bump up those targets on receptions, I think he can be top 20 running back. But top 12, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of staying healthy, a lot of greasing up those clunky wheels. But there's a path. It's just very hard.
I got faith. It's a long shot. But it's faith.
Hey, there have been longer shots that have been hit. So
yeah, there have. Now let's get to my underperformers or potential underperformers. Listen, I don't consider these guys busts. However, I do not consider them top tier running backs.
Yes.
Alvin Kamara, listen, he's facing a possible 6-game suspension. That's going to hurt his projected points. I mean, the Saints brought back Mark Ingram for a reason. Granted, it's a different coach than when Mark Ingram was there, but they brought him back for a reason. He knows the team. He knows how to make things happen, so on and so forth.
There you go.
Aaron Jones, I don't see him performing as well as like years past. And that's, I don't see him being a top-tier guy, not from a lack of productivity, but we were talking about it earlier. A.J. Dillon is going to be coming into his own. I think A.J. Dillon is just going to have a breakout year. Now, Ezekiel Elliott, everyone's favorite discussion when it comes to the Cowboys in fantasy. Listen, Cowboys never live up to the hype. Never. Ezekiel Elliott never lives up to the hype. Let's bring up 2021 stats. 237 attempts for 1,002 yards. You only had 10 touchdowns. 47 receptions, 287 yards, and 2 touchdowns. He has one more reception than Tony Pollard had targets. I mean, and then in my opinion, Ezekiel Elliott is not a running back or an RB1 material. Let's go back to 2020 for a minute. 244 attempts for 979 yards. Okay, slight improvement. He only had 6 touchdowns in 2020. 52 receptions for 338 yards and 2 touchdowns. For the amount of money that the Cowboys are paying Ezekiel Elliott, the numbers should be higher.
Yes.
They should be extravagantly higher. Like, it's the fact that he's putting up the numbers that he is. I don't know what else you could do. You bumped up your offensive line. You improved that vastly. Dak Prescott came back in 2021. So, the offense wasn't squarely on your shoulders. So I don't know what else Zeke needs to do. I don't know how much longer the Cowboys are going to put up with Ezekiel Elliott putting up subpar numbers. In my opinion, don't fall for the trap when it comes to Ezekiel Elliott.
He's in the same book for me as Christian McCaffrey. He's hitting that Todd Gurley decline, and the writing's on the wall. It may not be public, but you can tell how things transitioned last year. The running back splits became more of a thing, and we started seeing the split becoming kind of even as the year went along. It may have been because of health issues, but I really feel like Ezekiel Elliott is it's more than just the injury bug. It's just when the injury is going to pop up. When is the injury going to happen? It's not if is he going to get injured? Can he stay healthy? It's no. How long can he stay healthy? Can we? His workload when he came in the league was ridiculous, and they needed him to do everything. And now I kind of feel like the offense is more tailor made for him, but he doesn't have what he used to have to be able to take on that. So Tony Pollard's going to continue to eat at his playing time, eat at his reps, and eventually I do feel like Tony Pollard's going to overpass him. I don't feel the same about A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones just because Aaron Rodgers is a glut for consistency and familiarity, and he's way more familiar with Aaron Jones. He knows what Aaron Jones can do. Will it produce anything? I honestly think that it will. They're being able to gel with one another is what's going to propel them. So I kind of don't feel like he's gonna fall flat on his face, but I could see him have a short decline. Not a sharp one. A.J. Dillon obviously is going to eat at the goal to go. A.J. Dillon's obviously going to pave a way for himself to be a part of the offense, but I just don't think I think Aaron Jones is just too good to let somebody take his job at this time. When Aaron Rodgers leaves, all bets are off.
Before we close out for the night, if you're Mike McCarthy and the NFL season started tomorrow, who would you rather start at running back, Tony Pollard or Ezekiel Elliott?
Ooh. That's a good question. I think I'd still start Zeke. I'd start Tony Pollard over Melvin Gordon. I'll start Tony Pollard over Josh Jacobs, even though that's bad to say. I don't really believe in Josh Jacobs. He's on my joke list because I just don't believe the hype and his consistency. He's underwhelmed every single year. Yeah, last year was a little bit better, but a little bit better just didn't make him top 12 running back. So I don't really believe in him, but I'd have to start Ezekiel just because the team still believes in him. If something changes in training camp and we see a dynamic shift, but until we see the shift, I'm going to have to roll with what's hot, and Ezekiel is what's hot.
So let's move on to my trade bait just real quick. So trade bait for QBs. What? My opinion, it's Tom Brady.
Let's go.
Okay.
And I talked about it earlier. Tom Brady, he was retired, then he decided to unretire.
Mm-hmm.
Then, you're talking there were reports of him wanting to go to Miami.
Mm-hmm.
He lost Gronk. I know that's not a huge loss in the Tampa Bay organization. Personally,
But it's still
I think
a loss.
It's still a loss, no doubt about it. And I think Tom Brady, even with him turning 45 this year,
Mm-hmm.
I think it could still produce, but I don't think it'll be at the level that we're used to seeing.
No. But that's not to say he can't carve a path to the top 10. And
Absolutely.
And with Chris Godwin and the regime, I don't see it as a hard climb either.
Mm-hmm. Now, for my trade bait for running backs, I think that's the next slide.
Mark Ingram. I'm not taking the bait.
Listen, the only reason why I say it is because if Mark Ingram comes back and is able to produce the way that he did his first go round with New Orleans,
mm-hmm.
I think I'm not saying it puts Alvin Kamara's job or starting job in jeopardy, but what I am saying is that Jameis Winston, he's not as consistent as you would like him to be in a quarterback. So you might have a 1-2 punch like we saw a couple years back with New Orleans with Ingram and Kamara, to where it just creates a whole dynamic for New Orleans, at least for this year. I know the stats aren't really that impressive when you look at 2021, but he played for Houston.
Yeah.
I mean, Houston was a little bit it was teetering down a lot. So I think Mark Ingram might serve as some good trade bait early in the season. After Kamara comes back from his suspension, if you haven't traded him by then, you're not going to.
There you go. I agree with you slightly. My trade bait would be more on the lines of Devin Singletary. If James Cook comes in and takes over, or maybe Cordero Patterson after he gets a couple good weeks up under his belt, because I know that whoever's the starting quarterback is going to use him heavily to try to keep things balanced a little bit, because there isn't really a starting running back out there that really could do more to help him on that offense than Cordero Patterson. So that's my only difference. I could see the potential in having a security blanket of Mark Ingram, and I just think of Cordero Patterson a little bit more over Devin Singletary. Just trade bait.
I can agree with that. Well, I think that about wraps it up.
Yep. All right. Side note talk. This is a quick question for you. In your own words, do you feel that where would you rank Deshaun Watson if he is not suspended?
Honestly, it would be hard. It's a hard argument, but I honestly would put him at the lower tier of the top 15. Reason being is because he's a great quarterback. I'm not going to deny that. However, he hasn't played since 2020. I mean, 2 years out of the league. Well, no, 1 year out of the league, and then potentially another 6 games out of them, or 6 games. It's hard to come back from that. Heck, even just taking a year off. I mean, we saw what that did to Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah,
he took a year off, and it's hard to make that climb back up when you take a year off from the league, whether it's injuries or what. Actually, no, I think it has been 2 years, hasn't it? Because I think he missed a majority of 2020 because of a torn ACL. Hold on, let me look that up.
He played a full 2020.
Okay, yeah, you're right. So January 2021 was the last time he played. Okay. But even then, to take a full year off for whatever you have, whatever was going on, especially, with the allegations and so on and so forth. It's, I don't know, man. I have a hard time putting him in the top 15 if he comes back not suspended.
Well, I'm going to play devil's advocate a little bit. I think he does have a path to the top 10, and I definitely feel like he has a path to the top 5. That's granted he plays at least 14 games just because of his ability to move with the football. Yes, he's been away from football for a year, dealing with different things, but I really feel like if his head's in the game and he comes in and he plays like he played in 2020, just a brief look at his 2020 stats. He had 4,823 passing yards with 33 touchdowns and 7 interceptions and a passer rating of 112.4. If he can be anywhere close to that, I believe Brandon Cooks has shown himself to be quarterback proof, putting up massive numbers with Davis Mills. So I really feel like there's a path for Deshaun Watson to be a very efficient quarterback. Without my personal opinion of him, doesn't kind of doesn't matter in this point. But football wise, he's a great talent.
Oh yeah, I agree with that.
All right, and we're gonna take this off. And all right, any final words? Anything that you want to plug? Any outlets you got going on?
Well, I don't really have a whole lot. Just that I hope that our audience enjoyed this show, and hopefully this will help you with your decisions come draft day.
Yes.
And then next week we'll touch base on wide receivers and tight ends.
Yes.
And I'm excited for it. Wide receivers, probably one of my favorite positions to talk about. So,
There's a
Jay,
lot.
I'm sure you're excited about it as well. So,
Yes. I really feel I've got a pre-list made. I really feel like I'm gonna throw some monkey wrenches in there, and
I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, I can't wait to get started. This is the first of many Armchair GM podcasts to go through the Jocks Ball Trades Network, and I really look forward to getting a deeper dive. I'm waiting, chomping at the bit for preseason, man. That's when we really start to see things come together a little bit more. I hope we were able to help you guys kind of put together your fantasy drafts, and we hope to get a mock fantasy draft out pretty soon as well. And I'm Bugman Jay. It's my buddy Matt. You guys take it easy. We'll see you next time.
See you.